It's a pleasure to welcome back Kenny Albert, Sportscaster. And Kenny, you have been all over the place lately. Most recently, of course, we've seen your work on the Olympics. Congratulations on a great Olympic series.
Thanks, Jim. Really appreciate it. Great to be with you again.
Um, One of the things that stood out for me was the teamwork of you guys. In particular, Mike Tirico, I thought really did an amazing job.
As he usually does on any event that he works. I thought Mike was great. He was at the Super Bowl 2 weeks prior, flew to Milan right after, and did his usual tremendous job. But my partners, Eddie Olczyk, Brian Boucher, Catherine Tappan was our sideline reporter and handled all the interviews. I thought everybody really stepped up. I thought Eddie and Bouch, I've worked with them for a long time. I thought they both were at the top of their game. Catherine did a tremendous job. Mike was there with us as well. So it was certainly an event that we'll all remember for a long time.
You've done multiple Olympic gold medal games before, Kenny. What stood out this year?
Well, I have been lucky enough to be involved in five gold medal games prior to this year, three on the women's side, two on the men's side. First of all, the fact that the NHL players were back. They had not gone to Pyeongchang in 2018 or Beijing in 2022. And the fact that it was the US and Canada just made it feel so much bigger. On the women's side, it's been the US and Canada in seven of the eight Winter Olympics. So that's pretty much a given. If one of those teams isn't there, it's a huge upset, like it was in 2006 when the United States lost to Sweden in the semis. But the women's game was tremendous. They have such a great rivalry. Canada led the game for almost the entire second and third periods, and the U.S. tied it late, won the game in overtime on the brilliant goal scored by Megan Keller. And then 3 days later on the men's side, one of the best hockey games, if not the best, that I've ever seen in person. Two teams playing at the highest level. Brian Boucher mentioned during the first period it was the fastest game he has ever seen from ice level. And, for the United States to pull it out, Connor Hellebuck was unbelievable in goal. And then Jack Hughes scores the game winner in overtime. Just so much fun to be a part of.
You mentioned that frenetic pace, and that definitely showed up on television. And yet, the broadcast crew managed to keep such an even keel during that whole telecast. How difficult was that, Kenny?
I wouldn't say it was difficult. People asked me if I was nervous prior to the game, and I really wasn't. It was the 24th game I did in Milan, so the comfort factor of being in the same arena with the same people, both your broadcast partners and the behind the scenes folks. I don't want to say it was just another game because it wasn't, but we were in our comfort zone and we knew the stakes were pretty high and just felt the tension, the emotions in the building. And I felt like, from a broadcast standpoint, like I said, everybody was at the top of their game.
You mentioned the return of the NHL players, and one of the things that struck me, Kenny, was going back to 1980 when the men's team brought back Olympic gold. Was the innocence of it, the college kids playing against these, I guess you could call them professional athletes, if you will, from other countries. But the innocence, I thought, returned when we saw Jack Hughes and the toothless grin.
Absolutely. 1980 was a little different because it was amateurs. They were heavy underdogs to the Soviet Union. In this game in Milan, the teams were even. The U.S. and Canada had gone to overtime in the Four Nations last year. Canada won that game. The United States won this one. But you're right. I mean, you could sense how important it was to all the players on both sides. And, how about that stretch for Jack Hughes? Loses the teeth with about 7 minutes left on the high stick from Sam Bennett, takes a penalty. About 3 minutes later, he could have been the GOAT and not in a good way. And then he winds up scoring the goal in overtime. Just an unbelievable sequence for Jack Hughes.
I know your phone blew up with texts after the Olympic series. What was the most surprising text you got?
People are so nice, Jim. People that I know well, that I know a little bit. But I also heard from people that didn't have my number, some people that I've never met. For example, Joe Torre, the Hall of Fame baseball manager, I've interviewed him on a number of occasions. We've said hello to each other at various functions, but we did not have each other's phone number. And for him to go out of his way to ask a mutual friend for my number, that was kind of shocking and so nice of him. Kirk Herbstreit, I've never met, does a terrific job, obviously, on college football and the NFL. Sent me a message, a direct message on Twitter, um, just complimenting the broadcast. And again, we had never met in person, but for him to take the time, and there were so many others, too many to name, colleagues in the broadcast industry, friends, family. So just so nice to hear from everybody that checked in.
I was thinking as I was watching the telecasts and listening to you guys, you have filled some pretty big shoes over the course of your career, whether it's Doc Emmerich on a network level at the NHL, Sam Rosen, most recently with the Rangers. Obviously, your dad. I mean, when I was at Fordham, Kenny, every single one of us in the radio station in the sports department did an impression of your dad. And I can't help but think this is more a comment, really, than a question. I can't help but think, Kenny, that there is an entire generation of sportscasters, kids who are now in high school or maybe early in their college careers, who are looking to you as somebody to want to emulate.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, Jim. That's hard to believe. I always enjoy talking to groups of high school and college broadcasting students, which I do every summer at various camps around the New York area. But I've had great teachers along the way. Whether it was growing up around my father and two uncles who were longtime broadcasters. You mentioned Sam Rosen and Doc Emmerich, both great friends. Saw Sam last night at Madison Square Garden and actually just got a text from Doc Emmerich about 3 minutes ago. So I've been lucky enough to have great teachers, and they were an inspiration to my generation. And, if one young broadcaster feels the same about me, very kind of you to say.
How have you avoided the "he hates my team" the way Joe Buck gets reactions?
Uh, I hear it a little bit, during the NFL season, even during hockey, but I can assure, as you know, that we don't hate your team. We try to call the games right down the middle, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody loves their local announcers, and I get it because I'm with the Rangers. So once the playoffs start and after the first round, when it's only national announcers, fans are very provincial. They love their local announcers. So I totally understand that from their point of view.
Well, if you do a second edition or a second volume, an update to A Mike for All Seasons, your book that came out a couple of years ago, we certainly know that the Olympic hockey games are going to be in there.
I've been thinking about it already. I might have enough material for that sequel.
What do you think the impact will be on youth hockey here, both the men's and women's victories, Kenny?
Well, I remember back in 1980, I was 12 years old and I was playing hockey at a local rink on Long Island. And I remember all of a sudden, the number of kids that were playing it doubled or tripled. So 46 years later, hopefully this 2026 team has the same effect.
The book is called A Mike for All Seasons. It's been out a couple of years, and there are some wonderful stories. Kenny Albert, thanks as always for your time. Great talking with you.
Thanks, Jim. Really appreciate it.